So, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to this special micro training on what I call, or what is called rather, gaslighting. Now, if you've been a victim, you've been a survivor, or if you've been exposed to any type of narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships, people who don't want to own their shit and do their job, you've likely experienced gaslighting. Gaslighting is a specific type of communication style. It's a form of psychological abuse. It's designed to get you to question your reality, to question your feelings, your experience, your memory, your recall about what is going on, about what happened and what was promised. For instance, one of the common things with gaslighting is someone commits to doing A, and then they say, "What? I didn't commit to doing that. You just misheard me wrong. Nah, you're remembering that wrong. That's not what I said. That's not what I agreed to. And if I did agree to it and didn't do it, well, that's because you made that happen." That right there would be a classic gaslight. Now, gaslighting, the term gaslight actually comes from a movie that was made in 1944 called Gaslight. And in the description, there's a link to the Wikipedia page on that. But it's really a movie that explores that psychological manipulation and how it drives this particular lady crazy because her husband keeps screwing with the temperature and telling her he's not doing it, even though she has witnessed him doing it. That's exactly what it feels like. That's what the experience is like when we deal with gaslighters. They make us question our sense of what is going on or what happened. The reason they do this is it gives them power to shape the narrative, shape the discussion. It gives them freedom from accountability. That's the big one. People with toxic behaviors and toxic thinking don't want to be held accountable. It causes them extreme shame and distress. They don't like consequences because a lot of times they feel like they're the victim in this. And gaslighting is one of those tools they unconsciously use to weasel out of agreements, commitments, consequences, and accountability. It also causes us to start to distrust ourselves and in turn start to actually trust them more. That's a very dangerous position because then if we're trusting them over our own take on things, we can be manipulated and controlled through their behavior and through what they say. So there's a lot of power in this technique. Now, this behavior typically comes, from that toxic point of view that I'm a victim. I don't deserve this, that you're wrong, you shouldn't be holding me accountable. Anybody that has that point of view is someone that you need to put in the red zone in your life. Red zone means do not interact with at any intimate level, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, or intellectually, or financially, because the person's unable or unwilling to take accountability for their behaviors. And if their person's not able or willing to do that, you can't have an honest, safe, or open relationship with that individual. And gaslighting is one of those major signals of the mental and emotional health of a person. So now there's a couple of elements that come in here, 4 specific elements that happen in the gaslighting narrative. The first one's called withholding. And this is where they act like they don't understand, they don't listen, and they decline to share their feelings, their emotions, their points of view on things. They just shut the conversation down. They're like, "Nah, I'm not talking about this again. I'm done. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you mean by that. Oh, well, I didn't understand when we made that agreement." And it's a common term like help, or you even define what you want. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't understand you meant that." They won't listen. They're just like, "I'm tuning this out. I'm not listening to this again. I'm tired of it." That kind of thing. Second one's countering. This is where the abuser gets the victim to question the victim's memory and recall events. "Are you sure that's what happened? I think you're remembering that wrong. Yeah, I don't think that's what really, that's not what happened. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. You misheard me." It's that kind of thing. Then there's this concept called blocking and diverting. This is where the abuser pivots the conversation back to questioning the motives of the victim, and their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. They're like, "Why are you doing this? What are you going to get out of it? I thought you loved me." That's a big one. I got that a lot. "I thought you loved me." Well, but love doesn't have anything to do with holding you accountable. I do want to love you and I do want to connect with you, but you're not going to be an honest person. I can't do that. So, yeah, diverting and blocking, that's where we really get ourselves, they get us turned around. And then there's this concept called trivializing. This is where they minimize, dismiss, and discard the validity of your experience, your feelings, your memory recall, and what you went through, what you committed to, and what you remember. These 4 elements lead us to feeling crazy. We can't get out of it. We're constantly, inhibited by this, constantly attacked by it. Big, big deal. And it makes us question ourselves. We start to distrust our take on reality, and it starts to harm how we see ourselves. It starts to undermine our sense of integrity with ourselves, causes us huge anxiety, and it leads us to stay in toxic situations with people with toxic behaviors and thinking, because we think we're the problem, right? So we start trying to fix ourselves. We move into that codependent concept that I'm the problem, I caused their bad behavior. No. Now, the other thing that gaslighting tends to do is train us to orient to their feelings, gets us to regulate them. We gotta be very, very mindful of that, because that's where we get stuck in the helping, pleasing, fixing, rescuing categories of codependency. So how do we get out of this? How do we actually heal the gaslighting? Well, there's 3 simple steps you've got to go through, and you've got to be persistent in this pattern. The first one is to identify the facts, what you remember happening, what they said, how you felt, what they promised, what they did. Okay? It's not about agreeing with them or trying to find the truth or find the middle ground or understand their side of the story. It's about the facts. So once you can identify the facts, then you can start regulating anxiety. Okay, go into regulation of anxiety, help the brain calm down, help yourself center and root into that. And then you go through a validation process where you need to advocate and validate or endorse what you felt and what you went through. I call it legitimization. And this helps you start to restore trust through observation of what happened and then release that sense of crazy at the emotional level. Then you go back and you re-identify with the facts. You're like, yeah, these are the facts. This is what really happened. If any anxiety perks up again with that, you regulate that, and then you go back through that legitimization process. What this does is it helps train the brain to believe its experience again. Helps you believe you again. Because fundamentally, guys, conflict is not about what is right and what is wrong. It's not about who is right and who is wrong. Conflict is about understanding the needs and wants and expectations involved in the conflict. And in healthy conflict, that's the direction it will go in. We need to understand what the other person needed or wanted and what their intention was behind their behavior. And be very careful here with intention with toxic people, because this is where they'll gaslight you and manipulate you. Healthy people are going to be like, I really screwed up there. I'm sorry, my intention was to show you some love and it didn't come out right, and here's what I'm going to do differently. They own it. They're repentant. They're contrite. They feel sorrow because they care about how you feel, and they failed in their ability to do that. A toxic person isn't going to do that. They're going to be like, well, I just wanted to make things better and you didn't let that happen. They're going to blame you. They're not going to be contrite. They're not going to be compassionate on the pain or confusion they caused. They're not going to show up that way. And that's a serious red flag. And that's what you want to be very, very mindful of with this. So, yeah, in healthy conflict, people own their behaviors. In an unhealthy conflict, they don't. Okay? So that's a very, very important signal to be mindful of. Now, if you want help, you want to be led through these 3 steps, you can do that using what I call the Sane Maker. Now, the Sane Maker is my little tool, it's my guide that takes you through identifying the facts, regulating your anxiety, and restoring self-trust using those 3 steps, using the guide, because we identify your facts, take you through the regulation process and calm, and then we get you connected to the validation process through the Sane Maker MP3 and through the experience validator that comes in with the Sane Maker, and then you re-record your experience and validate it again. You can actually pick up the Sane Maker today for $25 at the link in the description, so make sure you jump on that. This is how you can heal it, and then you can move on with your life. My clients in Codependency Confidence, my one-on-one clients, and my clients in happiness strategy have access to this and have used it and found it very, very validating for their experience in breaking out of their the sense of crazy, and restoring trust to themselves. So guys, I invite you to pick that up below. You can you just click on the link below if you're on, or link above on Facebook, link below on YouTube. Now let me know what you got out of today's training, because we're going to be doing a master class here on this in late January. And to get access to that master class, you need to have purchased the Same Maker, because it's going to reference it. Okay, so I want to know what you got out of this, and then we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Have a safe Christmas. I'll see you next year for our continued trainings on breaking free from codependency by harnessing your value, voice, and vision. Have a safe holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You guys have a good evening.